I am the bone of my sword. Steel is my body and fire is my blood. I have created over 1,000 blades, unknown to death, nor known to life. Have withstood pain to create many weapons. Yes, those hands will never hold anything. Say so as I pray. Unlimited blade works. What is happening now? When I came to, I was in a burning field. I guess there was a big fire. The familiar town had turned to ashes, and it looked like the remains of a battlefield from a movie, but that didn't last long either. The fire had died down by the time the sun rose. The tall wall of flame had shortened, and most of the buildings had fallen. It felt strange being the only thing in that place that still had its original form. I was the only one still alive around here. I must have been really lucky, or my house was built in a very lucky spot. I don't know which it was, but the point is I was the only one left alive. I felt that since I survived, I should live on. I started walking aimlessly because I thought it would be dangerous just to stay there. I wasn't really concerned about getting burned up like the people lying around me. Probably because over and above not wanting to be like them, I had a stronger feeling in my mind. But still, I had no hope. I was already a wonder. It was already a wonder I was still alive. So I couldn't expect to be saved. I won't survive. Whatever happens, I won't be able to escape from this red world. It was such an absolute hell that even a small child could understand it. And I collapsed. Was it because there was no air? Was it because no function was left in my body? Anyway, I collapsed and stared up at the clouded sky. Everything around me was burned up and I could see many shriveled people. The dark clouds zoomed overhead, telling me it would rain soon. That's good. The fire would be put out once it rains. In the end, I sighed deeply and looked up at the sky. I say to myself that it hurts. I say so on behalf of all the people who couldn't even say so. That was 10 years ago. After that, I was miraculously saved. My body survived. But I think all the other things around me burned up and were reduced to ashes. If you take away a child's parents, home, and all such things, there's nothing left for him. That's why there was only my body. I think it's a simple story. In other words, in order to let my body live, my heart died. I'm dreaming. What? I squint my eyes at the white light, so bright I think. It was just light entering my eyes when I woke up, but I'm not used to it. I probably didn't even understand what the bright light meant. The hell? When my eyes focus, I'm surprised. I'm lying on an unfamiliar bed in an unfamiliar room. I'm surprised, but the room is so white and clean that I feel safe. I look around. The room is big and there are many beds. The person is in each bed and everyone seems to be hurt, but nothing feels ill in this room. Everyone who's hurt is someone who was saved. What? Isn't this obvious? What? I relax and let my eyes wander. Outside the window, the bright blue sky was unbelievably beautiful. After a few days, I finally understood. I could clearly remember what had happened in the past few days. Even so, I was no different from a newborn baby. Not just a metaphor, it was close to the truth. Anyway, it was a terrible fire. I had been saved from it. was in the hospital with my body wrapped in bandages and my parents were gone. I didn't get the situation, but I vaguely understood that I was alone. I think I understood quickly. Well, there was nothing but children in similar situations around me, so all I could do was absorb the fact. And after that, that man came right when I was beginning to worry what would happen next. He came on the day my bandages were taken off and I was able to eat without help. Wrinkled coat and uncombed hair. The man, a bit younger than the doctor, felt more like a big brother than a father.
こんにちは。君がシロー君だね。
A smile that seemed to melt into the white sunlight. I think it was a suspicious voice, but a very
率
kind
直に
voice.
聞くけど、孤児院に預けられるのと、初めて会ったおじさんに引き取られるの。
Yo, both of these
Yeah,
don't
don't you?
sound too like something I would want to do. That man was saying he could adopt me. When I asked him if he was a relative of mine, he said he was just a stranger. He looked like an unreliable guy with no future. Wow, well, damn. Yeah, but it made no difference as I knew nothing about either one, him or the orphanage. So I decided to go with him.
よかった。なら早く身支度を済ませよう。
The guy quickly started packing my stuff. His packing wasn't very good, even in the eyes of a child. Then, after making a big mess...
大切なことを言い忘れた。
Really, what's that?
うちに来る前に、一つだけ教えなくちゃいけないことがある。
Is that okay? He turns to me lightheartedly and says...
はじめに言っておくとね、僕は魔法使いなんだ。
He says it in a serious, exaggerated tone. It happened in an instant. Come to think of it now, I was really a child back then. I automatically believed those words.
じいさんすごいな。
I guess I said so with bright eyes. Since that time, I became his child. Actually, I don't remember what I said back then, but my father would always talk about that day. He would remember and retell the story again and again. So for my father, Emiya Kiritsugu? Yeah, Kiritsugu. That might have been the happiest day of his life. So, I guess it was strange for my father to tell me that he was a sorcerer, but I was strange as well for admiring that, and thus I became an adopted son and my last name became Emiya. Emiya Shiro. When I said my name, I was really proud of having the same last name as Kiritsugu. I'm dreaming. A story from my childhood. It was when I finally convinced my father to make me his student, so it must have been about 8 years ago. When I was old enough to stay at home by myself, Kiritsugu started to leave the house on a regular basis. He would say in his normal tone that he would travel the world and began to act on these words. That's how it was after that. It was normal for him to leave the house empty for a month, and he sometimes wouldn't come home for half a year. The Emiya house was a big Japanese-style house, and Kiritsugu and I were the only ones living there. I was perplexed in this house at times, as it was too big for a child, but still I liked my life there. Life here. Emiya Kiritsugu come home from his journeys and tell me lots of stories like a child. And the child who shared his last name would be at home waiting for those stories. I was always in the house, but that loneliness would all fade with the stories he brought back. The father who was always chasing his dreams like a kid. His attitude was astounding, but he always seemed dazzling to me. That might be why I wanted to be like him someday. Well, on top of that, looking at my ever-dreaming father, I felt I should become reliable myself. January 31st. Fate Stay Night